Welcome to sports yoga, mainly for the legs this evening. And grabbing a blanket is useful, not essential, but useful particularly if you have tight hamstrings. We'll be using it in today's session. And in fact, we're going to begin today's session in a really passive stretch. So we'll be transitioning into the practice, transitioning onto the mat, but also really gently stretching our hamstrings and our backs. So normally when we're in this Dandasana posture, I talk about leading with your chest and sticking your tailbone out. Today, if you have a blanket, we're going to roll it up for support underneath our knees. So just placing it there so those hamstrings can shorten a little bit and not be overstretched, and our back is a little bit straighter. So roll the shoulders to the ears, down the back. Just place one hand in your lap and your other hand on top. Gently draw the shoulders back. Don't worry too much about what your feet are doing. They can be relaxed out to the sides. Close down the eyes. Relax your face. Particularly relax your jaw, and you can do that by parting your teeth. Really think about those shoulders coming back and down. Your arms are heavy. Relax the space on your forehead, particularly between the eyebrows. And then turn your attention to the breath. Not to change it today, just to notice the inhalations and exhalations. Breathing fully in and out of the nose. And just sit in stillness for a moment. Just observe how your body's feeling. You might feel like this is becoming a little bit harder to maintain. You might find your back beginning to round. That's okay. Really thinking about coming into this stillness. You've chosen to be here for the next 30 minutes. So take this moment of pause and observation. Okay, your choice, whether you open your eyes here or whether you close down your eyes. But what we are going to do is allow that back to curl. So start to feel relaxed and heavy. Allow those shoulders to curl forwards and allow your head to drop down. So bringing that heavy head down, it's almost like you're a heavy rag doll in a shop that's support has been taken away. So really feel heavy in all the limbs. You might feel like your legs roll out to the sides a little bit. And then now what I'd like you to do is take your hands either side of your legs and just crawl them forwards a little bit. So the weight of your chest is coming over your legs, the weight of your head. And what's really nice here is if you do close down the eyes, you're taking away that visual observation of how low you're going and truly going on feeling. So we're not trying to overstretch anything here, we're just trying to indulge in that feeling of heaviness. And as you really take those long exhales, you might find you might go a little bit deeper. Feel a little bit heavier. And this really gentle way, this passive way of stretching the hamstrings without that expectation and that force will gently take them to their maximum range of motion without causing injury. Take 2 more breaths here. Long deep breath. And if your eyes are closed, gently open them now. And begin to inhale, take your vertebrae on top of each other as you lengthen up on the spine, draw those shoulders back, those hands back, and now turn those toes up to the ceiling. So actively engaging those legs a little bit more. Inhale, take a big stretch up, as if someone's pulling up your wrist, so you've got that lovely L shape. With that bend in your knees, if your blanket is there, and then exhale, bring your hands down either side of your legs. It might be either side of your knees, it might reach your calves, and then that traditional bringing your chest forward, your chin forward beyond those toes, sticking out that tailbone, making sure those toes are towards the ceiling, so we're getting the backs of our legs stretching, breathing there. Lovely, one more breath here. Really drawing those shoulders back and down. Inhale, press into those hands, and again, stack those vertebrae on top of each other. This time, remove that blanket if it was there. Take your hands back behind you. I don't mind which way your fingers are, whether they're towards your bottom or away from you. Bring your feet to where your knees were. Knees hip distance apart, and press into those hands. Squeeze your glutes to lift your hips. Your knees come on top of your ankles. When they're there, really squeeze the shoulder blades together, squeeze those glutes. Breathe there. And lower yourself back down. Okay, cross over your ankles. Coming on to all fours. Let's release the back. Tucking the toes as always, because this is sports yoga, so we need to release those muscles that have become tight in the soles of our feet. Bring your belly button to your spine so you've got that flat back. And inhale, bring yourself forward over the wrists. Exhale, bring yourself back, bottom to heels. Inhale, we come forwards. Exhale, we come back. Inhale, we come forwards. Exhale, we come back. Inhale forwards. Try not to rush these. Exhale back. This time as we stay back, bring your hands further forwards, lifting the palms just on the fingertips. Let your head go. Press really hard into your fingertips, but also your bottom to your heels. Wrap the triceps under. Let your head go. Breathe. Lovely. And then inhale, raise the head up. Bring those palms back down, shorten the length, bring your bottom off your heels, give your toes that gentle tap. Stick the tailbone out, send the shoulders back, lower the ribs. Inhale, take the gaze high. Ripple through that spine, so chin to chest, push the mat away from you, tuck that tailbone under for that cat posture. And then we revert to the cow. Inhale. Exhale, cat. Inhale. Lovely. Exhale. Really see if you can tuck that tailbone under as you push the mat away. Inhale. And exhale. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Again, coming to that flat back. Tick-tock the hips side to side. Really good for those muscles that wrap around the hip joint into the glutes. Releasing the TFL, the tension fascia latae. So swaying those hips, your shoulders remain parallel to the front of the mat. And then we take these into hip circles. So slide the hips down all the way to the heels and then up the other side. Really trying to involve the vertebrae as well. You can lower one elbow and the other. Lovely, switch directions. It's just one more turn round. And then walk the hands back to your heels. If this is hard for you with your your tops of your feet on the ground, you can wedge with that cushion or blanket there. Bring the hands back to the hands together. Tuck your tailbone in here. So we're lengthening the quads. Roll the shoulders back and down. Breathe. And then rotate those wrists. Preparing to come into our lovely downward dog. So let's remove that blanket, walk those hands back forwards. A reminder, your downward dog is plank distance. So let's take that right foot back first of all, stretch the heel away, lengthen in that calf, pause. And then bring that right knee down, take that left foot back, press the heel away, really lengthening that calf, and again, tuck that tailbone under so you can feel that quad activating. Bring the left knee down and then raise both knees into a momentary plank. Bend the knees so they don't touch the floor, but you stick your tailbone up and press into your hands to bring you back into your downward facing dog. Knees still bent quite a lot to protect those hamstrings. Let your head go. Look between your feet. Breathe. And then inhale, travel yourself forwards to lower those knees down just for a moment. Keep those toes tucked, lift the knees, tilt the tailbone up to the ceiling as you come back to that downward facing dog. Lovely long spine. If your spine is rounded, stick your tailbone out and bend your knees more. And then press the left heel down, lift the right foot up. Big deep stretch on the left. Bring that right foot down. Lift the left foot. So the heel doesn't have to reach the floor. You might have really tight calves and hamstrings that still hover, or you may be able to get contact with the floor, but just go on feeling. If you're feeling that juicy stretch, then you are doing it right. Walk the hands back towards the feet. Bend the knees deeply, your head is low, your shoulders are low, hang heavy. In children's yoga, this is called gorilla, so be like a gorilla. Arms super heavy, trailing towards the floor. Keep that bend in the knees to again protect the hamstrings, hanging heavy there, and a gentle sway side to side. Bend one knee and the other as you sway. And then walk those hands back forwards. Bring down the knees here. And step that right foot forwards to the outside of the mat, to the outside of that right hand. Coming into a low lunge here, so you might need to scooch that left knee back a little bit. Release the left toe, gentle sway side to side. For those of you that are really rounded here, taking a block or a book or a little step or something to bring yourself high so you've got that straighter spine might be a good idea. So just coming into this lizard posture, gentle sway side to side. And then place that left hand down. It might be on the block, so lift that right arm up to the ceiling. Big stretch and opening on the right side here. And then exhale that right hand down, back to the mat. Walk the hands back. The right toes are still down, lengthening in that right leg a touch. If I move my hands out of the way, you can still see it's bent. We don't want to over push it. Drop that right hip down. Inhale, come forwards, lower the hips. Exhale. Inhale, open on that right side again. Maybe you look up at the ceiling. And then lower that right hand down again. Walk those hands back, begin to lengthen in that right knee. And then maybe you want to bring all the weight into the heel to pick up the toes. Breathe. Replace the foot. We do that one more time. Inhale, open on that right side. Exhale that hand down. Low lunge here, shoulders back and down. And then walk those hands back, lengthening in that right foot and maybe flexing those right toes. You might want to take it a little bit deeper here by bowing down. Breathe. And inhale, bring that foot back. Slide the right foot back to meet the left. And then we bring that left foot forward to the outside of the left hand. Lower the hips down, shuffle that right knee back. So there's lizard posture. A reminder, you can have that block to raise yourself up if it's too intense for you, but gentle sway side to side here. Getting into that left hip, but also that right hip flexor. Think about your exhale here. Gentle movement is good to ease out that tension. Keep that right hand down, lift that left hand up, gaze up, opening on that left side. Try not to slump in that right shoulder, really press the right hand into the mat. Exhale that left hand down. And walk those hands back. Keep the left toes down first of all. Drop that left hip. Breathe. Inhale, we come forwards, rebending that left knee. Open up on that left side again, pressing into that right hand, gaze up to the ceiling. Exhale, take that left hand down. Walk the hands back. This time you might want to pick up those toes, but really drop that left hip down, breathing there. Inhale, we travel forwards, placing the foot down, lifting that left hand up last time. Exhale it down. Walk the hands back, flex the toes. This time, you may want to stay here or you may want to bow down further to deepen that stretch on that left side. Big deep breaths here. Really try and stick the tailbone out. If you've got rounding there, you will find it shortens that left hamstring. So even give it a go. Notice the difference between sticking your bottom out and your chest coming forwards and rounding your back. You should feel the intensity change. Inhale, we come forwards, place that left foot down and slide it back to the back of your mat. We tuck our toes here. Stick your tailbone out, lift your hips high, downward facing dog. Walk out those feet. Separate your feet wider than hip distance. A good distance is to the outside edges of the mat. Bend your knees. Walk your hands back towards your feet. Keep bending in those knees so we're coming into that squat. You can have a high squat here, or you can lower your bottom down, lifting your heels, coming into a much lower squat. Gentle rock side to side to ease into those hips. Breathe. And then exhale, lift the bottom as you exhale the head down, lengthening, coming back into that kind of gorilla posture where your arms are long and heavy, your knees are bent deeply, and that gentle sway is there. Inhale, look towards the front of your mat, follow with your hands. Coming into a plank posture, momentary strength here, your hands are underneath your shoulders, tuck your tailbone under so you're really engaging those lower abs. Breathe here, focusing on the exhale. You should really feel the more you tuck your tailbone under, the more these quads are engaging, your calves are lengthening as you are sending your heels to the back of the mat. 2 more breaths. And then bring your right knee to your right elbow and your shin comes diagonal on the mat. Bring down your left knee, unhook the toes, slide that left foot back. Grab your block or your blanket here to wedge under that right hip that will help this pigeon posture. Come down onto your forearms. And again, feel like the theme of today's class is that gentle sway. So we're not are easing away any tension in that right hip. Breathe. Thinking about straight spine here, so if you feel you're tipping more one way than the other, try and bring that left hip down. Equal weight in both forearms, 1 more breath here. And then remove your wedge, bring your hands underneath your shoulders, press into those hands. Right foot comes under right hip and slide back. Come into a downward facing dog, walk out those feet, let that blood rush back in that right leg. Inhale, we come back to that plank, shoulders directly above wrist, tuck that tailbone under, engaging those lower abs. Breathe, your heels are coming to the back of the mat. 1 more breath here. And then bring that left shin down diagonally on the mat, to the left knee, to the left wrist. The right knee comes down, unhook the toes, slide that right leg back. Get your wedge for underneath that left hip and come down onto those forearms. Equal weight in both forearms, but draw that right hip down towards the left heel. Breathe, option for gentle movement. We'll take 3 really long breaths here. Such a good stretch for the glutes, the IT band, the hip flexor. Good all-rounder for those runners. And indeed, if you also do weights on your glutes, this is really nice. We bring those hands underneath the shoulders, gentle press to lift your hips, remove your cushioning, and slide that left heel under your left hip and to the back of the mat, lifting into your final downward dog, pressing into those hands, lengthening the legs, heel, toeing the feet, swaying the hips. Really let the head go, maybe a nod, a shake. Breathe. And then we bring down the knees. Slide the feet to the side, bring down your bottom to the mat and your legs come forwards. You might find your legs feel a little bit longer, a little bit looser. We can but hope. Roll the shoulders to the ears, down your back. We come back to that Dandasana posture. Turn the toes towards your face. You can put the blanket under here. Broadening the collarbone. Breathe. And then hug that left knee in towards the left armpit. More of the armpit rather than the middle of the chest, so you've got a gap between the right leg. and the left heel. Squeeze that knee in so we've got that lovely tall spine. Breathe. And then we take this left foot over the top of the right leg, plant it back down on the floor and get that knee into the chest. So rebind here. You might hug with your forearms, you might make a clasp with your fingertips, but whatever you do, broaden in the collarbone and have a straight spine. Breathing there. And then we take the right hand to the outside of that left thigh. Drop that right shoulder down. Left hand comes behind you. Big inhale to lengthen in the spine. And exhale, gaze over that left shoulder. Breathe. Inhale, gaze forwards. Gently release that left leg off the right and down the mat. Give it a little bit of a shake. Let that blood rush back in. And we repeat on the right side. So let's hug that right leg in, leaving a gap between the leg and the heel. Squeeze the knee in towards the armpit. Lengthen in the spine. Broaden in the collarbone. And then we take that right foot over the left. Re-squeeze that knee in towards the chest. Lower the shoulders down. Broaden across the chest. You should feel that going right into your right glute. And then take that left hand to the outside of that right thigh, but drop that left shoulder down. Right hand comes behind you, big inhale. And as you exhale, look over that right shoulder, big twist and deep stretch into the right glute. One more breath. And then inhale, gaze forwards, release that right leg all the way down to the mat, give them a shake. Let's take the soles of our feet together. Don't worry how close they are to your hips, but do worry how straight your spine is. Gently butterfly the knees. If you're finding your spine is rounding, bring your hands behind you, press into those fingertips to straighten the spine. Gently butterfly those knees. And then come into stillness. Gently press into those fingertips to open your knees wider. Breathe. And then release that posture. Bring your hands underneath your knees, close them together. Clasp your fingers just in front of your knees on your shins. Tuck the tailbone under, lengthen in the arms, allow the head to bow down. Stretching the top of your back. And inhale, rising up, cross the legs here. Just place one hand on your lap and the other on top. Gently bow the chin down. Option to close down the eyes. Take this last little moment of pause. And perhaps acknowledging how different your body feels now to how it did 28 minutes earlier. Or what you learned, what was perhaps more flexible or more niggly than you thought. Just take this moment to calm the breath and sit in conscious stillness without fidget, without distraction. Just with observation. And of course, you can sit here as long as time allows. As always, it's been a pleasure guiding you through this sports practice. Namaste. I hope to see you again soon.